Guys, we're going to Cavs, and Mike, you have some NBA trade or draft targets to go for. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys about Monarch Money. Have you guys ever checked your bank account and wondered where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized I was spending a lot to deliver food, and I bought a lot of food this week too with the heat wave. But now I budget smarter and I save more with the app. I took control of my finances, and you can take control too. With Monarch Money, use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
So the NBA draft tips off tonight, guys. The first round is tonight. The second round is tomorrow night. Jason, before we dive into some targets, do you think they'll ever split up the draft again, or is this the last year they're going to put it into 2 days? Because they split it for Bronny last year.
Yeah.
It got all the attention in the world, and rightfully so. And now this year, I don't think there's going to be an ounce of juice following the day 2 of the draft.
No. It should be one. It's only 2 rounds in the NBA. This isn't the NFL. Adam Silver keeps trying to create the NFL with some of the things that they're doing, I think, and it's not. I'm not going to say it's not going to be in 20 years. Who knows what the future holds? But right now, this is silly.
So the Cavs don't have a first-round pick. They have 2 picks in the second round currently, 49 and 58. And to get you guys prepared for what could happen tomorrow night, once again, not tonight. Tonight's just the first round. Tomorrow night, I went through and picked out 5 guys I think could be good fits for the Cavs if they are on the board at either of their picks. And I put together a little list of my personal top 5 targets for the Cavs at 49 and 58. Some of these guys may or may not be there. They may be drafted a little earlier. Some guys may go undrafted. But these are 5 guys that I did a little digging on that I think would fit a specific role if they were there. So I'm going to give you the top 5, and we'll talk a little bit about each one. So, and if you want to pull up the list, I will give you my top 5 targets. Number 1 is Kobe Bray from Kentucky, elite sharpshooter, 4-year Dayton player, transferred to Kentucky. I'll show you some of his highlights in a second. Mo Diawara from France would be my number 2 target. I think he's a better option for the Cavs at 58 as a draft and stash guy. I'd be lying to tell you I'm super familiar with his game, but I had people from multiple different teams tell me he destroyed higher-rated prospects in workouts. Kenny Atkinson coached on the French national team. He has ties to French basketball. This feels like a perfect draft and stash candidate, and guys smarter than me have told me they really like him. So you know what? I'm going to listen to them for once. He's number 2 on my list. I like Cam Jones out of Marquette. Lefty, 6'5", combo guard, had been more of a point guard, been more of a scorer, can shoot a little bit, very physical, pretty good defender. I think he's a guy that can plug and play right away off your bench. He's my number 3 target for the Cavs. Number 4, Bryce Williams, a bigger sharpshooting wing out of Nebraska, averaged 20 points as a senior this most recent season at Nebraska for the Cornhuskers. 6'7", good 3-point shot. He fits all the guardrails, for lack of a better word, that Kobe Altman's looked at in the past. And then Dylan Cardwell, the big man out of Auburn. The Cavs need a big physical backup 5. He is 7 foot, 245 pounds, athletic as all, tested through the roof. Didn't show much on the offensive end other than a putback guy for the Tigers, but I do think there's more to his offensive game than what he was allowed to do in college. All these guys, outside of Diawara, the 4 guys from the U.S., are at least legitimate seniors. 3 of the 4 are 5th-year seniors because of COVID, went back and got that extra experience. I think if the Cavs are going to draft someone at 49 or 58, it'll be a guy with multiple years of college experience who they feel can plug and play in theory as opposed to a developmental guy who needs 3 or 4 years to get ready. Draft and stash, different case, but those are the 5 guys I had targeted. Dustin, are you familiar with any of these 5 guys before I give you a little extra?
Cam Jones, Bryce Williams, Cardwell. I mean, these guys I saw just because of the conference tournaments and stuff at the end of the year. Don't know the European prospects at all. And these guys are projected to be second-round picks, which means there's a low probability they even make the roster.
Yep.
But God love you because you know all these guys, and that's we need you on the show because I don't know really much about any of these prospects, and you know the Cavs could end up with one of these guys, and who the hell knows? Maybe they end up making the team and becoming something for them.
Jason, before I give you a little more insight on these guys, are you familiar with any of their games? / have heard anything about these guys?
Yeah, a little bit. The one actually that I'm most intrigued by is the guy I don't know anything about, which is Dawid, only because I think you make a good point. Kenny's probably familiar with him just because of his time coaching the France national team. I just looked him up. He's 6'8" and 20 years old. I'm not going to pretend to be a Mo Dawid expert. I'm not. But the idea of a draft and stash guy makes sense for a roster like this because it's such a full roster, and the Cavs have been really good, frankly, with second-round picks and undrafted guys. They've done a nice job of finding talent on the margins. When you talk about, listen, I've crushed him in the playoffs too, but to take Dean Wade from an undrafted position, develop him for a couple of years, sign him to the contract that they did, he has contributed to this team. Yes, he's been a disappointment in the playoffs, but it's still a win for the scouting department, for the development team, to be able to bring him to the point that he is. Sam Merrill is not a guy, that's more of a guy off the scrap heap that they've brought in, but they've just done a nice job moving around on the margins. So if they can do that again, I don't know that they need 2 second-round picks. You know, if you can combine them and move up, that makes sense to me tomorrow night. They're not moving into the first round, I don't think. I'd be shocked if they do something to land in the first round. But if they move up the board and land in the second round, higher in the second round, dump a 2 for a future consideration, I don't know. I just don't know that you need 2 second-round picks on this team.
I agree. Let's start with Dawid because, once again, like you, I'm kind of unfamiliar with this game. Before I was told about him from a couple different people. I'd never heard of the guy before, so I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. But all I know about Dawid was a Western Conference team brought all the French prospects in at once for just a big group workout. They all kind of traveled together. And there are 2 French prospects who are expected to be first-round picks. Essengay is expected to be a lottery pick. The guy from that Western Conference team I talked to said he could not believe that after watching these guys work out, Essengay was a projected lottery pick and this guy was a late second-round projection. He said he was the best individual guy they had in that entire workout, which included 2 first-round picks. It's just one workout.
Did well with.
They did Khalifa Diop, who has not played yet, so that was a swing and miss.
Luke Travers was a draft and stash guy in Australia for a couple of years. So there's, I mean, you can say there's risk, but it's the second round. How much risk is there? I don't see anything wrong with drafting a guy and leaving him overseas for a year or 2 to develop and then bringing him over. There's just not a lot of room right now in this rotation and even at the end of the bench. So, you know, I would rather swing on upside. That's just me. You know, you've got, we talked on the Cavs show this morning, I think Jalen Tyson's going to have an opportunity for rotation minutes. Craig Porter Jr. maybe will have an opportunity. I would rather swing on a guy who you have to wait a year for, who might give you more, than take a low ceiling guy that you kind of is a finished product that you know what you've got.
My number 1 guy on the list is Kobe Bray. And pull up the highlights for Bray, because if you guys are unfamiliar, I want you to watch this 2-minute highlight package, and I'll tell you exactly why I think he fits. Sam Merrill, I don't think is coming back. It's going to be Jerome or Sam. Wingspan, which is not great, but so did Desmond Bain, Tyler Hero, and J.J. Redick with the exact same negative wingspan measurements that Bray did. Ethan Pelton, who is one of the bigger NBA draft guys, said according to his shooting calculator, Bray is the best college shooter he's ever scouted. This dude is an absolute sniper. He doesn't do a ton else. He's not super athletic, not necessarily a great playmaker. Defensively, leaves a lot to be desired. But if you're looking for a 6'7" wing who can absolutely shoot the crap out of the ball, Kobe Bray is the guy. And when you're looking at second-round picks, I need to know you have one skill that translates. I need to know you have one thing that on the NBA level I can count on for you to deliver. It could, in theory, crack the rotation at some point. That's my number 1 option.
Well, you sold me. You sure he's going to be there?
He's a projected second-round pick somewhere in the 40s. So I think at 49 he could be in play. I don't think he'll be there at 58. Kevin Pelton has him as 20th ranked prospect. Everyone else has him in the mid-40s, early 50s, because outside of shooting, he doesn't offer a ton else.
Right.
But his shooting translates.
The NBA is a shooting league right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like this guy, to me, would if he's the best shooter in the draft, would go in the first round.
He kind of reminds me a little bit, just watching that highlight clip, because I didn't watch a ton of it. A little bit of Joe Harris when the Cavs took him at the top of the second round a few years ago. Same type of MO. Joe could shoot the lights out of it. Didn't really do a whole lot else. And Joe went on to have a very lucrative career
Yeah.
in the NBA. Signed a big contract, I think, with Brooklyn.
Yep.
And had a couple really, really good years as one of the top 3-point shooters in the league. So, I mean, yeah. Where are they, 41?
49.
49. I'll be surprised if he's there at 49.
I'll tell you this. Just like I took some of my guys' words that Mo Diarra is a player, none of my NBA guys like Bray like I do. So either I'm going to be right and insufferable to them, or they're all going to laugh at me for liking a guy way more than everyone else. So maybe it's just me trying to con myself into shooting being the single most valuable trait, but also shooting's everywhere in the league now. Almost everyone can shoot to some capacity, so being an elite shooter, maybe not as important. But Kobe Bray, a guy I really do like.
Go back to Sam for a second. Merrill, he's a little undersized, but he bounced around a lot.
Yeah.
Before he really sort of found his footing with the Cavs. He was I want to say he was with 3 or 4 teams.
I know
before Cleveland,
Milwaukee, Sacramento,
and I think there was another stop in
at
there.
least 2.
And so sometimes with some of these guys, they bounce around. They got to figure it out.
Find the right system.
Sam's not young by any means now. He's, 27, 28? Somewhere in there, I think.
He's 28, yeah.
So,
Sam had a quick stint in Memphis, too. That's the third team.
That's the third team. Okay.
He had a 10-day with Sacramento, but never actually, yeah.
Yeah, he only played in 6 games.
But here he is. He finally figured it out all these years later. He got in the right system, got with the right team around him, and he'll probably make himself a little bit of money now this offseason.
So Bray is a guy I really like. Another guy who was number 3 on my list was Cam Jones out of Marquette. Lefty guard, physical, 6'5", played off the ball for most of his career, then played on the ball this year at Marquette when they lost their point guard. Was an All-American, averaged 19 points, 6 assists, 4.5 rebounds per game. A very smart defender coming from Shaka's smart system. He's a guy that I doubt is going to be there at 49, but a downhill player, big enough size to be a distraction defensively to kind of get guys off their mark and at least allow enough time for the help to recover. He also could be a facilitator if needed. He played here in Cleveland in the NCAA tournament when Marquette played in the first 2 rounds here, but he's a guy that I actually really like and think will be drafted before the Cavs are on the clock, but if he's there at 49, I would be thrilled they can find a way to get Cam Jones in a Cleveland Cavaliers uniform as really a third guard, an off-the-bench guy. He's not going to take Donovan or Darius' minutes by any means, but a guy they can play alongside either, and I'm a sucker for a lefty, so I like Cam Jones. Dustin?
Interested?
Good teams find talent everywhere. The Thunder, how many guys in their rotation were second-round picks? It's a high number.
Definitely a few.
Hartenstein. Caruso was undrafted. Wiggins was a second-round
Was
pick.
Dort a second-round pick?
I don't. And look at where
I don't
Lou
think
Dort
he
was drafted.
I don't think he was a second round.
Isaiah Joe's a second-round pick. That's at least 4 guys.
Now, Hartenstein
Lou
was a
Dort
free
went
agent.
undrafted.
Undrafted. So
Wow.
5.
Even more. I
Yeah.
thought he was a little first.
Him and Caruso, 2 undrafted guys.
Caruso was established by the time they got him, and Hartenstein, but the other guys, it's weird as we talk about how the NBA changes. There was a time where you had to have a top 5 pick to feel comfortable about getting a star, and now you can find them on the margins. You can find them in the second round, undrafted. Obviously, Jokic, mid to late first round guys now hit and are much better than they were 20 years ago. It's just weird how it's changed. It's not anymore that, and yet teams still obviously tank and try and get those top 3, top 5 picks. But you can find talent in a lot of places now in the NBA, and I think that's sort of the spread of the globalization of the game. And now you've got guys all over the world that are playing, and only 60 picks. Think about it, only 30. Think about the NFL, how many rounds there are. MLB draft, how many rounds there are. NBA, it's 2 rounds. That's it. So there's a lot of talent out there to find. I think because of the globalization of the game, you can find talent from anywhere.
2 more names just to keep running through. We mentioned Bryce Williams, the small forward out of Nebraska. Another guy who's, I believe he's going to be 24 by the time the season starts, so an older rookie. He's going to be a second-round pick, whether it's before, whether it's after. He could go undrafted. But Bryce Williams out of Nebraska, a guy who averaged 20 points a game. The highlights are in there somewhere, and if you want to pull them up. But averaged 20 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. He was their only offensive threat in Nebraska, Jason. So the numbers, even though 20 points is impressive, however you get it, he was really their only threat offensively. He's a little bigger and more physical than Bray was, but not as good of a shooter. But similar kind of build, or not build, but similar kind of shoot-first mentality. He's a little more of a driver than just a pure shooter. I don't think he's as good at any one individual thing as Bray is as a shooter, so that's why I have Kobe Bray rated higher than Bryce Williams, but I do think Bryce Williams has a chance to be an impactful guy off the bench at some point in his NBA career. If not, he's going to make a ton of money in Europe, because if not in the NBA, this is the kind of guy that plays 15 years overseas as an elite scorer on FC Barcelona or something like that.
Yeah. What do your guys say about him?
A Western Conference guy told me they liked his workout, but they didn't think he was quick enough to be an NBA scorer, and he did not work out for the Cavs, even though he fits a lot of the guardrails that Kobe's drafted in the second round in the past.
Interesting.
And one last guy I wanted to mention was Dylan Cardwell from Auburn. The Cavs need a backup big. I think the days of having Dean Wade be your third big man or DeAndre Hunter being your third, it's just not sustainable. You need a legitimate backup big. And Cardwell was a guy who played 5 years at Auburn. The stats, not impressive. 5 points a game, shot 70%. He essentially only dunked the ball. They ran no offense for him. They play a 5-out system where he was just a screener. Got a couple dump-offs, but Janae Broom, who finished second in the College Player of the Year, was his front court mate. This dude's 7'1", 250 pounds, bouncy, and one of the best interior defenders in all of basketball. If there's any ounce of offensive game in there, we didn't see it. It doesn't mean it's not there. They never asked him to show more than what he was capable of. This highlight tape is literally all dunks and blocks. But this is a guy with elite vertical athleticism for a 7', 270-pounder. Really good defensive instincts. He was one of the SEC Defensive Player of the Year guys. And he could finish. And for a second-round pick, once again, I'm going for a skill set I know translates.
Yeah.
It may not be the whole kit and caboodle. That's why you're at 58 and 49, not number 1 and 2. But this guy, from a defensive standpoint, absolutely can make an impact on the NBA level. He was an above-average rebounder per minute. He's a good finisher around the rim. And if there's any more to his offensive game than what we've seen, I take a flyer on a guy like that.
They definitely need more size. They could use a bruiser inside, just somebody for short spurt minutes here and there. You're not asking them to start or carry heavy load, but you can just give them, if the guy's got foul trouble or an ankle or anything like that, and you just need to fill a couple small stints. Yeah, I'd totally be interested in a big of some sort.
And one more point on Cardwell. I don't know why Kobe Altman loves Auburn guys, but he loves Auburn guys. Okoro.
They should.
Sharif Cooper.
Good program.
None of these guys have really worked out. So
Well, I'm just saying it's been a good program.
You got Okoro, you got Cooper, you got JT Thor in the last couple of years. Those are all guys.
Does he have ties with somebody inside their personnel department?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he's had more Auburn guys on either two-way contracts, undrafted contracts they brought in through the G League. They also have another guy in the G League right now. I'm drawing a blank on his name, the white kid that can shoot. Number 24.
I forgot Thor was an Auburn guy.
Thor's, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have a little bit of an Auburn to Cleveland connection. So just worth mentioning with Cardwell too. But I know he was a guy that when worked out wowed the Cavs from his athleticism standpoint. So would circle him as a potential name that they could look to draft on round 2 Thursday night.
I'm not excited about the draft. I don't care. Cavs don't have a first-round pick, so
It's crazy.
yeah, I'll be curious to see who goes.
Are you going to watch tonight?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by this Ace Bailey story.
Yeah.
Fascinated by it.
Yeah, I'll watch tonight because I want to see if anything happens with the Spurs, with the pick. Like, there's things I'm interested to watch from a league-wide standpoint, but from the Cavs' perspective, there's just not a lot there right now.
You have any interest tonight, Dustin?
I didn't even know it was tonight, to be honest with you. I've never really watched the draft outside of when the Cavs were picking.
Yeah.
I was actually more interested in the lottery than I was the actual draft itself. I don't love the NBA draft for whatever reason, but honestly, there's no other sports on. You want to watch the Guardians? Put up 2 runs.
Yeah, I'll watch tonight because I like watching Gavin Williams pitch. So I'll watch the Guardians.
What time does this thing start? 8?
The draft?
Yeah.
Draft's 8.
Guardians like 6:40.
I knew the Guardians are early. Yeah, I got a tennis match.
Nice.
Didn't you play this morning?
I play twice a day.
You're a beast.
I am an animal.
I think we're having friends over tonight, actually. So
Oh, yeah?
we'll see who's
who wins the
Little
TV.
cookout.
Little cookout. Yeah, friends from out of town.